Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Tennova's emergency room doctors, nurses, and staff are on hand, ready to go when you or a loved one need quality, efficient care from broken bones to life-threatening conditions. Trust Tennova Healthcare as I trust Tennova Healthcare. Go to Tennova.com to learn more about their many East Tennessee locations. Tennova Healthcare. Okay. Back with Jimmy, Bob, and David. This is the quiz show. We got 3 quick questions, one for each of you, and then we got kind of an all-around question that everybody can jump in on. David, I'm going to start with you. This is just a good or bad. Good or bad?
All right.
All right. Butch Jones' animated sideline demeanor is a good thing or a bad thing? Will Muschamp's taking some heat for being fiery. Good thing or a bad thing, Butch Jones' demeanor?
I think it's a good thing because that's probably how I would be out there. We've seen the whole range. We've seen Phil Fulmer and Lane Kiffin, and not really a whole lot going on there. And Derek Dooley could get very animated. Yeah.
That's because he didn't know where he was. He was confused and outraged.
Broken hip, he has a passion. He has a fire about it. I can't blame the guy for that. Muschamp's, I still think he's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's a good thing though, because I think a lot of fans out there are mad. I think it helps them to see that their coach is mad too. Yeah. I don't know what it does with a young team. I mean, you've seen guys that are pat him on the back. Philip Fulmer had a lot of success doing that. You've seen guys who are fiery have success. So I agree with you. I think it's a good thing. True or false, Bob Hodge? Considering preseason expectations, that's the key word there. Considering preseason expectations, it's fair to say that Tennessee's offensive line had a worse day than Nathan Peterman yesterday. True or false?
Boy, the word worse makes that tough.
As bad would have been a lot.
As bad would have been pretty easy. I tell you what, going on preseason expectations, I will say it's true. Because I think the offensive line, you worried a little bit at Austin Peay, a little bit at Western Kentucky because you didn't see things. Okay, then you get to the debacle at Oregon. But yesterday, that was a good SEC front against what's supposed to be the best or one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in the SEC. And I think they lost, and they lost fairly badly. And David could speak to this better than I can. It's not only that they don't whip people the way you would think these guys do. It seems sometimes like on their zone blocking, they just don't do their assignments very well. It's not they get whipped. It's just that they sort of just don't do things.
Well, in the missed assignments, maybe we can attribute that to a lot of different schemes that they've come across over their time there. But you're right; it's very inconsistent play from pass blocking and run blocking. Look, I expect guys to get a beat occasionally when you're playing a really good player, but if you're as good as what we've heard, you're going to consistently beat those guys, and we haven't seen it.
UT averaged, let's see, less than 3 yards per rush. The Vols had 9 first and 10 runs involving a quarterback or a running back. On 6 of those 9 runs, they went for 2 or fewer yards.
So even if you don't consistently beat them, at least you consistently neutralize them.
Yeah, and that easily was in the backfield as much as UT's quarterback. All right, Jimmy, over-under for you. By season's end, quarterback Justin Worley will throw for over or under 1,500 yards.
The key to that is whether or not he's going to be the start of the last 5 games of the year. So, I don't know.
You're going to Cavaliers the question.
Yeah, well, come here, Chuck. I'm going to say I think he's going to end up doing that because I'm not sure there's another quarterback that they're going to be comfortable with. It's certainly not going to be Peterman, right? I wouldn't think.
Right.
And while they may try a freshman may not have a whole lot of success. So I think they're going to end up starting Worley the last 5 or so games against competition where he'll be able to rack up some yards. So I'm going to say yes.
All right. He is right. He is on pace like for 1,490 or something right now. It's 1,490, 1,510. I did it yesterday. Tennessee, I thought this was surprising. Tennessee didn't have a 1,500-yard passer in 2004, 2005, or 2008. You had some guys rotating back and forth. 08 was just the claw fence debacle. But you think about Tennessee having good quarterbacks.
Well, that was the run game in 2004. Yeah. I mean, you had 2,000-yard rushers.
And
you also flip-flopped your quarterbacks.
3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So, all right, last one, multiple choice for everybody here. Just jump in. Butch Jones' decision to change quarterbacks this week shows A, he listens and reacts to what fans and media are saying. B, he is impatient. Or C, he knows he's got nothing on offense and just was pulling out the stops.
I guess I'd have to go with C. I mean, there's not a lot there. There's not a lot for him to work with, and I think he was trying something different to see if maybe something would work. I don't think he listens to the fans or the media. You're going to go off what you see in practice and how you grade guys out. And he mentioned in his show after the game that Peterman graded out better through the course of the week. And I'm going to be honest, if I'm in his shoes and that's how I'm going to make my choice, I'm going to make the same choice. You've got to go with what you see on the field. You can't just say, hey, this guy's a gamer. He may not practice well, but we know he's going to ball out in a game. There are those out there, but they're the exception and not the rule.
Impatient, listens to what's going on around him, or just no options?
Can I combine A and C and make kind of like a D? That I think there
Or
are.
Cavaliersing of the question.
I mean, I'm going to say that there was a little bit of reacting to what's going on around you, somewhat. I mean, I think that you know, coaches have a tendency to do that at different levels, and I think that the Worley, you know, he's not a good quarterback. He's just average. He can't help us. Yada yada yada. So maybe you go into it, and like David said, Peterman had the better week by this much. But I'll bet you he's had better weeks before. I just can't imagine this is the first week of since the spring that he's been better. So maybe it was like, well, let's go ahead and give this a shot. Let's just see what happens.
I think impatience played a big part of that. He wants to win right now. He understands he's behind the 8 ball a little bit. But I think he saw Worley the first 3 games and thought, this isn't good enough. And so I think part of it, I'm kind of debating between B and C, but I think some of it was the impatience about, look, we got to do something here. And so let's give this guy a shot. Obviously, it didn't work.
Well, that was a good question because we had somebody say A, B, and C throughout the
And added D.
All right, yeah, they added a D. That's right. All right, when we come back, bombshell fell on Friday when Arian Foster was every week there's a new NCAA thing. Hostesses, Tyler Bray and Mo Couch. This week it was Arian Foster. When we come back, Sterling Hinton, Bobby Scott, the ex-players, Vince Ferrara, Chuck Cavaleris, the media. We're going to talk about Arian Foster, what he did, what he said, why he said it, paying players, the whole 9 yards. Come on back on the Enrichment Sports Source.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television.